Hi, this is Marlene, Astrologer, Extraordinaire. So, for some time now, what I wanted to do is talk about some of the things that narcissists do. This list can get wild, and I do have some things written down here because, I'm going back to teenage years, decades ago, situations that happened with my family. I had a family member that was a narcissist, I had a mother that was a narcissist, friends around me that were a narcissist. Later, I would have a boss that was a narcissist. I worked in an all-male dining room, and I was the only woman in that dining room. So this person, the maitre d', did not want me in there. So that's something that I will talk about at a later date, because that that ended up being a pretty nasty deal, and that person ended up losing their job. As well as I had a few narcissistic boyfriends. Back then, we didn't call it narcissism, but now, fortunately, my memory has served me well. I have a very keen memory going back now, especially over the last 3-4 years, that I've been really studying and digging deep into narcissism. I'll look back at these instances and, wow, this person did this. That was a narcissist. He was a narcissist. She was a narcissist. So I'm going to go over some of those things, and I hope that I don't create any trigger warnings here, because some of these things really are quite obviously overt and nasty and insidious. The fact that, somebody even has the thought that they want to do those things to you. If it gets too heavy, turn it off. On the other hand, if you have some experiences yourself that you would like to share, I really would like to hear them in the comments. Let's say that you're lying in bed next to your partner, and he or she decides to just put a pillow over your face and then holds it there for about 15 seconds. Yeah, we could all get a stopwatch and time how long 15 seconds is. Is that appropriate? Isn't that about the time that you might be thinking, my God, is this person going to take the pillow off of me, and they're just holding it down? And is this some kind of joke? No, that's not a joke. That's intentional. That's the workings of an insidious mind. How about you're out at the beach and you go out and you get in the water with your partner, and you're just having fun, getting wet, splashing around. All of a sudden, your partner decides to dunk you. Dunk you. Not just dunk you down and then you pop up, holding you down there for about 15 seconds. Again, about the 15-second thing. Is this some kind of psychological ploy where that magic amount of time is just enough to make you think, well, that's not, that's not dangerous. So, there's a fine line there. You tell me, somebody, a playful little quick dunk or something, holding you down for 15 seconds to make it look like, oh no, that's not long enough to constitute any danger. That's not the point of it. If somebody sees that as a prank or laughs that off as a prank and tells you that you're crazy for thinking, anything other than that, no. So the reason I'm bringing up things like this is because if you've had things like that happen to you and you're not really clear, you're thinking, oh, that's just a one-off thing. Oh, well, he didn't hold me down under the water for 45 seconds. No, it's inappropriate, completely inappropriate. So later on, then, the narcissist and I were living in this house, and we had just moved into this house, just bought this house. The narcissist was not able to come up with the rest of the deposit before the sale went through. And of course, who would he have to go to get that money? We'll talk about that story another time. Fast forward, now we're living in the house, and we've only lived there maybe about a month, and we have a single gentleman living next door, and he was, I'd say, about 65, and very pleasant, didn't say a whole lot, but it was hello, goodbye, anytime any of us were coming or going. Now, one day, I'm taking a shower, and it's early afternoon, and when it was warm out, we tend to have our front door open, and then we had a screen on our front door. Unbeknownst to me, I'm in the shower, and this was a shower that it was a full tub, and then there was a curtain over it. It wasn't like a sliding glass door sort of thing in the shower. It was just a curtain. So I'm in there, and all of a sudden, the curtain is pulled over, and it's my boyfriend, and he just looks at me with this, all of a sudden, this infuriating look. And he tries to push me down while I'm in the shower in a bathtub. Now, we all know how dangerous a fall in a bathtub could be. That's pretty horrific. I couldn't believe it, so I'm trying to hang on to the curtain with my other hand, and I screamed really loud. Let's fast forward in time. What happens next? So apparently, our wonderful gentlemanly neighbor heard me scream. And so a few days later, my boyfriend comes up to me and he says, so-and-so, I don't remember his name, but let's just say Robert. Robert, I said hello to Robert, and he turned away and he wouldn't say hello to me. And I know why. It's because you screamed. You should have never screamed. I should have never screamed. So he's attacking me while I'm in the shower. And now he's trying to guilt trip me into, I should apologize. Shame on me for screaming, for trying to defend myself, for trying to hang on to the shower curtain so I didn't fall down in the bathtub and have a serious injury. The narcissist didn't have a car for the first 2.5 years of my relationship, our relationship, whatever you want to call it, wasn't a relationship at all. It was a massive liability is what it turned out to be for me. So he was not a very good driver, but he would get upset if I didn't let him drive my car every once in a while. Well, it was a 5-speed car. You got to know how to work those gears. You got to know how to shift gears. Every once in a while, he'd have himself a little temper tantrum if I didn't let him drive my car. So I'd let him drive. And then here, he'd miss the gear. All of a sudden, he'd grind the gear, and I'd be like, oh. What I would do is I'd put my foot down on the floorboard, and he'd see that, and he'd get mad at me. Don't put your foot down on the floorboard. I hate when you do that. You miss the gear, but again, trying to guilt trip me for reacting to his poor shift or inability to shift the car, but then gets mad at me for that when he's grinding the gears on my car. He's ruining my car. So, but he doesn't see that. No, it's like, let's put the blame back on me. I shouldn't be upset that he's grinding the gears in my car. One of his favorite tricks was to go out to dinner, and we both enjoyed eating. We were both foodies. I enjoy cooking. So he actually gained 25 pounds during our relationship, but I was the key breadwinner, and I made about 4 times the money he did. Now, I'm not saying I did not actually make a lot of money. It's that he made very little money. So we generally would like to have an appetizer when we went out, but he would say, well, I can't afford an appetizer. And I'd say, okay, well, I'll get the appetizer then. I'll pay for that part. When we went out, it was always the intention of paying 50-50. That's how we did things. Would you like to have dessert? Let's share a dessert. Well, I don't have the money for dessert. I'll pay for the dessert. Then, before the bill would come, he would make up some sort of, just anything out of midair to be upset about, something chaotic, something on the fly, something weird. Then he'd say, gotta run to the loo, go to the bathroom, and then not come back. Just leave. where we lived at the time, we lived the walking distance to quite a few restaurants. So he would walk home. It didn't happen when we drove anywhere, only conveniently. Then he would just leave, left me there like I did something offensive or something. I would get stuck paying the bill. So this got to be a little trick of his. Here's another thing. And this is early on. And I was somebody that was very stoic in nature, or I didn't really show much facial response. At the time, I was 29, and he would test me. So every once in a while, he'd say, "Oh, well, I think you're looking a bit aged." Aged. You're looking a little bit aged in that light. I mean, just how old, really, can somebody look at 29? And that was decades ago. And maybe I shouldn't say how many decades ago, but a long time ago. And I have some other things that I wanted to talk about in my teenage years where some pretty ugly things happened, because this was through a 5-year period, my mother's second marriage to a very violent man. So I'm definitely going to talk about that in a future video. And I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you.